Hey everybody, welcome back to Spirit Plays More Spiral Knights. You know what we haven't done in a while? I have this entire game soundtrack. Oh my gosh, it's cat season again. When is it not cat season, right? I have this whole soundtrack on my reading music, and you know what came up in my reading music? This guy. Man, come with me. Create a public party. Come with me down memory lane, where this guy, the joyous sound of a slime with a crown, who do this whole time in a set of rhyme. Oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. It sounds it's ridiculous doing it. Okay, I think we have enough energy to actually get some. Excuse you. We have the Savage Torto Fist. What even is our loadout? Chaos Gear, great. We can switch shoot. That doesn't sound very good. Do I have to spend money on trinkets? I guess I do. Or at least energy. Probably should. Trade. Purchase. No. And then we get this. And then we probably don't need any of this, but we're going to get it. And this. And then this. Boom. Who needs energy? And then we get mail. But I can't see. Because my screen's all sorts of wonky. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just change the output resolution. Because why not? There we go. Perfect. we can equal this out. Don't worry, we're gonna go down, we're gonna make some progress here. First we have to totally optimize our characters. Optimization is key. Squish our resolution a little bit too. Because I miss this game. As deep and as far as I go into the realm of philosophy and theology and all that other good stuff that makes me me. That I try to anyway. L's for loadout. Gilded Griffin, Magma, these are all... Like, we need Winter Grave, right? Just we can maximize this. I'm trying to see if somebody else will join the party, too, at the same time. We can just do Arcade. Instead of that, we do... Does this need heat? Absolutely not. Beautiful. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. We should probably use them. Might be a good idea. Don't ask me again. Upgrade. That might actually be my downfall. Because I might actually extend one accidentally. Arcade. Who needs Pseudo-Ruska, right? We can talk about the Jelly King and the fond memories we've had as we've gone down. First off, going down, finding an arcade party that would constantly farm the Jelly King over and over again was just super awesome. I know, I remember that kind of stuff. I hope you guys do as well. This is always a great game to visit and come back to. It's kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't describe it directly as Sin itself, but, you know, from what I'm finding, in a psychological sense, in a spiritual sense, and about every other sense you can possibly think of, the more I think of sin and things that like bring you down, the more sin by definition is just something that stops you. It just makes you like you don't grow, you don't move on. So is there a place for that in nostalgia? Well, I suppose so. If you're stuck in like, you can see this with like older people that never kind of graduate from high school. They stay in high school. They go for the high school girls. You know, they Napoleon Dynamite. There was a guy that was like, "Yo, how much you want to bet I can throw a football over that mountain?" You're like, what are you talking about? You're like 40 and hanging out with high school kids. You gotta move on. There's a sense that the mankind is like almost meant for maturity. So that's there's something to be said about that. So we draw that into the whole like nostalgia realm. I guess you could make that case. But good memories, here's one thing you want to do with a nostalgic memory, right? You don't hold it into yourself. It's one of the reasons I made like the 15 ways. Is that too loud? I think it is. The 15 ways, or 5 reasons to play Spiral Knights. You want to share this with other people. You don't want to keep it by yourself. You want to make sure the next generation. It's why we see like so many of our older movies. I gotta turn this down for my own sake. So my older movies that are being replayed and rehashed, like Ninja Turtles. My daughter loves it. It's better. My 4-year-old. And then she's like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm like, that's so cool. I remember when I used to see, the Muppets, the ones with the animatronic heads. And then we got to see, in my lifetime, a legit, like, computer animated, like, realistic computer animated Splinter fight Shredder. And, like, that was the best fight ever. Dude, I got chills watching it. I still have chills now thinking about it. There's something about that, though. So are you going to stay frozen in mind? Because, the future, history rhymes, right, with the future, but it doesn't necessarily repeat. I deserve that. Okay, you know what? No face. So I want to share those kind of moments with my kids. And you really, honestly, I think, get to appreciate nostalgia a heck of a lot more when you're investing in the next generation. You get a lot more meaning. Because what you're doing is, you're from what I can understand, from what I'm gathering, is your meaning in life is directly proportionate to the amount of duty and responsibility you take on for yourself. Like, and that, I mean, that's huge when it comes to children by definition. Probably should grab some other kind of gun or a sword. We got the voltage. I'm not too unhappy about that. So if you take on the responsibility for the next generation, you take that to its ultimate conclusion. I mean, where else but in the actual protecting and I guess, grooming of another life in its best sense can you find that besides in your children? That you take the nostalgic memories that you enjoyed in life, or at least were at the peak of not bad. I guess that's a good way of saying it. Because you can only be so good. Like, you have a mother, you have a father, you have a good income, you have all your needs met, you have a little bit of trouble in high school, but then you have an education, then you find something you can do to help out life, and then hopefully you rinse and repeat. And that's the life cycle. That's the tension between your wants and your needs versus somebody else's wants and needs. And it's that tension where life actually is. It's the absolute and the relative. It's the relationships, the masculine and the feminine. The idea that you still communicate even if you disagree. Unfortunately, our politicians that's the essence of getting votes. You think one side's better than the other, well, you're all in a big mess. Regardless if you think one opinion is better than the other, that doesn't matter. You negotiate, and through the negotiation, that's how you get a relationship. And that's, I would say, one of the best philosophies that has helped me live the way, at least in a decent sense. And once you take responsibility, because that's what the cross means in Christianity, once you take that responsibility on, your life becomes more meaningful, and the struggles you have become more purposeful. And life itself, like the question of like suicide and depression and all that stuff becomes like an afterthought now. That's barring clinical stuff, right? And I was talking to a lady she said, I need you, could you please pray for me, because my daughter, like, she cuts herself. Like, that's not cool. And we're trying to figure out exactly, what the solution is to this. So what do you do? It's one thing if it's yourself, but if it's another life you're trying to cultivate and tell them that the world ain't so bad. I mean, that's something else. I mean, what do you do with that? What do you say with that? Do you teach them to take on responsibility? I just got done teaching it at my daughter's school. Today's Sunday, on Friday. There was a gentleman in there who accepted Christ, and you take that for what it is at that age, which is like 12 or 13. Not too terribly old. So you take it for what it is. I accept going along with this as far as it's being told, and from what I understand what it is, that philosophy can get quite deep, obviously. And if it's not getting deep, you're not learning enough. That's the whole point of the cross. It's such a deep, sophisticated thing that if you think it is not and just dismiss it, you're actually doing history itself a disservice, because you're not looking into the huge ramifications that Christ himself had on this world, or any of the great theological thinkers, but most importantly Christ. Theological thinkers, philosophers, right? Socrates, Krishna. I don't know if you want to consider that one. The thing about Christ is there's historical relevance to it. So if you're doing a disservice to history if you don't research at that. You just cast it off as being like a giant offering to your sky, trying to appease your sky daddy or something like that. I mean, that's you can make that case, sure, but it'd be good for you to look into it first. If you're not looking into it honestly, do you really care about truth? Or are you just trying to go with an unaccountability opinion? Because that's honestly what a godless opinion leads to. You don't have any accountability. What's right and what's wrong is all based on the circumstance, relative. I can say what you say is wrong to be right, and I would not be wrong because there's nothing to hold me accountable. All this from nostalgia. Should we pass on good feelings to next generations? I think so. Like sharing this with my friends, they were not going to get the same feel I did out of it. One, because I'm not part of it, right? Every instance that you have had with this game specifically, or anything in life really, you were a part of it. So if you had a whole different crew and a whole different paradigm to the situation, they might not enjoy it. I mean, look at how games have developed. The best part about this game is still, like, the no agenda part. At least I think so. Like, there ain't no BLM, no down with Trump, no... well, there is sort of censoring. It depends how you look at it, but it's mostly censoring on, like, don't cheat, don't trade badly, don't say the F word to people in a public forum, etc., etc. It's like, it's not too terrible when it comes to, like, oh, well, you're having a deep talk about abortion. Well, we'll just deny you the right to talk and ban you from our server. At least I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it is there. I don't know. But anyway, the point of nostalgia is to share the whole part of the game with somebody else and have them have that same experience. So you'd have to recreate like the age group and everything involved. I mean, I guess I was kind of old, but at the same time, not really. I found people in this game older than me. I was in my late 20s, early 30s when it came out, 2011, 2012, something like that. Help me out there, Mike. You're the man. Oh, probably should use this. Yes. Okay, that was terrible. We're good. We're not going to do it hitless, but at least we can hopefully get the job done. The Wintergrave should finish off the king himself. I mean, if I want to get in my case, I have to recreate the garbage graphics I used to have back in the day. Now I have a decent gaming computer because all the top of the line gaming computers, they didn't sell enough of them, I guess. So you can get like some really good deals on them. That's how I got mine. It's nothing. I ain't no rich person. We had two computers at one point that were gaming, that were for that era. 2002 or something like that. 2002, 2012. Both of them crashed. When the first one crashed, I kind of like took the parts and put them in the other one. So we had the ultimate computer, which was quite sad. It wasn't a very happy computer. And after that, well, we went about a month without a PC, and here we are. I like this a lot better because it shocks them. But this feeling, like, it's always the feeling of overcoming, right? There's a challenge in front of you. You want to overcome that challenge, and it's the same kind of struggle. It's older than Judaism, when God first touched man, or consciousness first touched unconsciousness, or wokeness, or the infinite touched the finite. The ability of overcoming. This is actually the answer to victimhood. If anything, it's anti-victimhood. It's saying, I don't care how much it hurts, I'm still going to do it. That's why shows like Naruto, stuff like that, which my kids are watching, it's so prominent to see those kind of stories. They might be messy, and they might not go along with your worldview, but that doesn't matter. Sometimes the overcoming aspect of it, that we are fallen from God, but we still have a chance. You know, the atonement, that you could still make good, that you could still overcome. I mean, that was the feeling you got, right? When you're in your 2 and 3 star gear and you hit the Jelly King for the first time. You're like, how do I beat this guy? And you waste like 30 or 40 sparks trying to do it. There weren't sparks back then. It was just like energy revives, I think, right? Something like that. Anyway, something to think about. But you can mimic those feelings in other ways. One thing that's really interesting to me is I look back upon like how I viewed my parents, now I viewed people older than me, and now I'm in the cockpit of that stat. I'm about halfway through the game, right? And you look at that, and you're like, that's how I am. Like, I'm still a kid. Like, I'm still 13. The thing about aging is you're still the absolute and the relative, for lack of any better way of saying it. I'm still 5, I'm still 6, I'm still 25, I'm still 26, I'm still 35, I'm still 36. You know what I mean? You're still all those ages at the same time. You might not remember every single second of your life. That's not really important. You have a generality, and one of the reasons that you just don't go insane, so either you don't know enough, or you don't really worry about not knowing every second of your life, but you still trust that you exist, is you can fundamentally put it inside of a story form, which is another example why stories are just amazing. You tell yourself a story of what happened, and the details go away, but the essence of the story, which is extremely complex, is still there. I think that's hugely significant. So you can tell yourself a story about your life. If you have a girlfriend or somebody like that, try that with them, or just try it online. Who knows? People might be interested in it. Maybe your life's not interesting. That's okay. It will be someday, as long as you decide to take on some responsibility. And even, like, this is where disagreeable people can actually make, like, a huge impact. Even if you have nothing going on, but you can create a story. If anything, by wanting to be something, the best at something, wanting to achieve something. You have a goal and a desire and an ideal, and you pick those out, and you make them happen, or at least you want to make them happen and put an effort into it. You're going to, because not everybody can do everything in their entire life. Not everybody can be a martial artist. Not everybody can be a librarian or a philosopher, or I don't know, man. Like, it takes lifetimes to do these things. And you can do something that so inspires somebody or so benefits mankind that it just makes everything better. And that is a good thing. That actually goes in line with humanism, human flourishing, and it goes along with the Judeo-Christian worldview of, picking up your cross, and you are your brother's keeper. You want to make them better. It's good of you to do this, because we are precious and made in the image of God. It's hard to come to that conclusion and even, like, define and going back to nostalgia, even give nostalgia a relevant worth without giving people worth. Like, the whole idea we're just the Matrix idea, right? We're just a plague, a disease on the planet. We are contributing to all the global warming. We kill all the animals. That's bad, sure. But starting out with that should not be your base default line for all your thinking. There should be something. Like, one of the worst things that people can do is say, I'm harmless, I can't do anything, I'm terrible at everything. That's not true. Everybody is such a monster, it is ridiculous. Like, there's a reason why things like Maoistic China and Russia and Germany, those other countries did terrible things, while the Bloody Sunday happened in America. What happened? Oh my gosh, we got Fluffy Tony. You get away, my friend. Spoots. There's a reason why all that stuff's important. Sorry. If anything, that's an example of why you can be a terrible person. Everybody can be a terrible person. Every single person. And you have such significance. If anything, your significance and your monstrousness can be felt in your lack of doing something. Silence is acceptance was like one of the first lessons I learned as a manager, and that's so true. Might as well let him know. At least I think it's true. If you see, and this is one of the big reasons I like taking martial arts, because it lets you control situations at least within arm's reach. All right, I got to teach my daughter's class, and the whole. I forget if it's this video or another one, so forgive me for that. But anyway, I got to teach my daughter's school, the elementary school kids and the middle school kids. I thought it was really fun. I got to teach them karate, and so one of the I forget what I was going with that, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. Teaching them how powerful they are and how powerful they could be. And I'm trying to back up on my thoughts. So many things are going on at the same time. Why not do this and do a complex motor function at the same time? But teaching people how strong they are. I know at least one of my students, he's a white belt and he's 40. And he said, like, I never thought I could actually be strong enough to, like, punch someone's face in, but I think I can, and now that's extremely scary. And I'm like, I know, man. That's why white belts, I don't let them, and you shouldn't, at least in any school, don't let them fight anybody with black belts right away, because you're such a destructive monster, and once you realize that fact, like, you don't have any control over it. Like, knowing your powers there is easy. Controlling it, you can take a lifetime doing that. It's not easy learning to control the power within you. But just because we're squishy humans that happens to live on the environment, or on the little crust of the earth, don't let that devalue your harm or your worth to your fellow neighbor. Because that's huge. Anyway, that's your nostalgic worth. We're about to go into the king himself. You need a worldview that makes life itself, rather people themselves, extremely valuable. Otherwise, nostalgia itself, what you value as important in your youth, is not important. Not only that, but if you're not passing it on, nostalgia dies with you. There is no ongoing feeling of that overcoming. There's no ongoing feeling of that accomplishment, of group unity. I mean, now, what do we have? We had spiral knights in our day. Like 100 years before that, 1900s. What do they have? I don't know. Roller skating. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not too terribly transparent. We got 1 at 5. Then we go on 3. But it was something, something aspiring to. It's always nice having something to aspire to and something to live for. Excuse me. I don't like your, like your bridges. Get me out of here. 4. We got rid of it already? 4? I guess we did. That's funny. I keep using my health potions. I mean to use Baboon. Oh my gosh. Remember that used to take a long time? You see, I guess it would if we had like 2 or 3 star gear. But anyway, you need a default type of identity that puts significance into yourself as an absolute, and to the time, which is your relative, right? Past, present, future. Because with so you bolster both, and you bolster everybody else amidst their story, which is amazingly complex, something we can't even understand. We can't even understand our own stories and the narrative of reality itself. And that is honestly what Christ is, and what all of this is right now. Especially when you get to the quantum world. It's narrative and reality meeting. And that's what our lives are. So anyway, there's your little bit of philosophy. I wanted to just run down the Jelly King because it's been a while. So once again, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. He's got a shamrock on that blade. It looks so cool. And I'll see you next time. Take care.